Gamecocks to keep Georgia's national title hopes alive. Texas went to BYU. There was about a 2-hour delay in this when BYU's used to that. Happened to them against Virginia last week. David Ash and Mike Davis. Texas looked as if they were going to strike with lightning and knock down BYU, except for the fact that the Longhorns, they are participating in the tackling optional portion of our highlights. You saw BYU just running wild through the Longhorns as if they thought this was touch football. No team ever has run for more yards against Texas than BYU did in this game. BYU has never run for more yards in a game than they did against Texas.
Texas has a great history of playing great defense, going back to Bill Roy.
Look at this. Poor angles, poor tackling, poor attitude. You just can't have that. You don't expect that out of the Texas defense.
Are you kidding me? Taysom Hill, the quarterback, he's a good athlete, nice little quarterback. He's 9 of 26 passing, but that's okay because he ran for 259 yards.
Made him look like Gale Sayers.
BYU ran for well over 500 yards in this game and embarrassed Texas and go on to win the game. So now Texas feeling good about their new identity, defense supposedly showing up, and they go out and flat lay an egg against BYU in an embarrassing loss.
And for Mac Brown, the heat in Austin just got turned up to probably the highest it's ever been since he's been there. This is the year. They won the Alamo Bowl, 19 returning starters. Everything's going in the right direction. We have our quarterback. Things are going in the right direction. Well, a game like this, a lot of people are going to question that. Over 500 yards on the ground against Texas? Against Texas. That just doesn't happen. Manny Diaz, the defensive coordinator, he's on the hot seat in Texas too. Something's got to change because right now, this week for Texas is going to be a long 7 days.
Well, let me tell you, Mac Brown's the same football coach he was when he won the national championship, had all those great seasons. But he is a chairman of the board. By that, he hires an offense coordinator, defense coordinator. And when he had Musgrove, they were outstanding. They do have problems, and it's up to Coach Brown to get that rectified. You hire a coach, you got to make tough decisions on it, and he will. I feel confident about that.
This is inexcusable for Texas and unacceptable. They have the best facilities. They pay their coach almost more than anybody in America, over $5 million. They can go out and get any recruit that they want. For them to show up and lay an egg like this against BYU, over 550 rushing.
Don't bury it.
Players bear some responsibility in this.
So do the coaches, getting them in the right place at the right time, making the right calls.
Well, it goes back, and everybody has to take credit for that.
They're distracted by the by Mount Timpanogos all game long. You've never been there before. Stunning backdrop.
And that's what as a coach you have to do. We aren't going to point fingers. Everybody has to look.
I'll say that for Texas.
You start looking.
They've never been there before.
What did I do wrong to create this?
A little bit blown away by it.
Point fingers at somebody else.
I want you to think of it this way. The team that lost to Virginia last week had put 550 yards on Texas. The team that scored 16 points against Virginia last week put 40 on Texas in a 40-21 game. The 550 yards we mentioned, a record for BYU and also the most rushing yards against Texas. It's dating back to 1950. Still to come, college football final. Here's the cat that can put some rush yards on.
So we're doing a little post-game analysis here and talk radio version of OMSR Gen 4.0. I am your host, Will, the alternative ESPN Sports Thrill. Just reminding you, this is a show. Talk radio version is always short and sweet. Whether it's this or from the set, we have to abide by copyright law. I like to throw in together our own original content when borrowing from others. It's called the DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It covers fair use standard, minimal use, and derivatives. So all the highlights courtesy to ESPN and everything else, short and sweet as it is, very little of it, but this counts as, for the most part, most of the original content. I'm babbling on here. Sunday morning, a little hungover, a lot of good games going on, everything else to the OMSR. Okay, so with regard to Texas and BYU, this is part one. You know where you are based on the title. And then part two with regard to Oregon, Virginia. I think they forgot the altitude factor too, as far as the Texas defense goes. Yeah, and I guarantee you, those dudes from Texas never been up that high before. Being from northern Utah, U of U alum, know that area well. You're right, the campuses of both the U and BYU are right against the benches there. You're pretty much at 5,000 feet, even though Officially, the cities are not that high, Provo and Salt Lake. The campuses are. And so you've never played that kind of altitude before. It's exhausting, for sure. But still, the fact that those kind of numbers were accumulated against Texas is pretty surprising. And I even said I had a feeling for him when Mac we did on the news back in college football spring games. On that playlist, I said I got a feeling about Texas this year. Now I look like a dumbass, along with the rest of the defensive coaches. Was wrong about that. And then Oregon, Virginia, was that a good test? I mean, you could say by the same token, Oregon having to go all the way over against their normal time schedule back east for an early game, but they performed. So, you know, Oregon is just a better put together machine at this point in time than Texas has been for a couple of years. I think you'd all agree with that. All right, it's not the best of my morning shows here. I'm gonna have to like make another giant cup of tea. Thanks for watching. No silly DUIs while you're out there. Better to just kick it at home, leave the keys in the cabinet. All right, later days and more signature plays.